everybody, today we will crochet this puff hat. We will use the braided puff stitch to make this hat. This beanie works up fast and it looks very pretty. The written pattern has been linked below in the description along with the timestamps. The matching scarf tutorial can also be found in the links below. This is a step-by-step, easy, beginner-friendly tutorial. Hello and welcome to Let's All Crochet. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new, please consider subscribing for similar crochet tutorials. To crochet this hat, we are going to need 2 skeins of any medium weight yarn. I am going to leave the details of the material in the description box below. We are also going to need an 8 size or a 5mm crochet hook, scissors, measuring tape, a tapestry needle, stitch markers, and a pom-pom maker. This is optional. You can also attach a ready-made one. Now let's begin. We are going to start with this bottom ribbing first and then move upwards. We are going to begin by making the ribbing long enough to go around our head. Then we are going to repeat all the rows till we reach the required height of the hat. So we will have a rectangle. We are not going to make this hat in a round. Then we are just going to fold this rectangle in half. We are going to sew the top and the side shut to make a hat. Begin by making a slip knot. Now we can make this however we want. Once we make our slip knot, we are going to chain 10 for the ribbing. If you want this to be longer, you can chain longer. To chain, we are going to yarn over and then pull through the loop. Yarn over and then pull through. Yarn over and then pull through. So I have made 3 chains. 4 chains. I'm going to continue till I have 10. Now we are going to make row 1. So we are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. The loop on the hook is not a chain. This is our very first chain and this second V is our second chain. So we are going to insert a hook into the top loop of the second chain. Then we are going to yarn over and pull through. We have 2 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through both. So we made our first single crochet. Let's go to the next chain and make a single crochet in it as well. So we are going to insert a hook into the top loop, yarn over and pull through. We have 2 loops. We are going to yarn over and pull through both. Go to the next chain and make a single crochet. So in the same way, we are going to continue till the last chain and I'm going to meet you there. So if we count all our stitches, we are going to have 9 at the end of row 1. So we are going to start counting from this very first V here till this very last V here. So if we want, we can use stitch markers to mark the first and the last stitch. Let's go to row 2. We are going to chain 1, yarn over and then pull through. And now we are going to turn our work. In this row, we are going to make back loop single crochet. So this loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. This is our chain 1 stitch and this is our very first stitch. We are going to begin working in this stitch. So we usually go below both the loops of the V that we see. But to make a back loop single crochet, we are just going to go into the loop facing away from us, which is this loop. It is also called as the back loop. So we are going to insert a hook and make a single crochet here. So remember to start from this very first stitch. Insert a hook into the back loop. Yarn over and pull through. We have 2 loops. We are going to yarn over and pull through both. This is our first single crochet. Go to the next V and make 1 more single crochet. Go to the next V. So in the same way, we are going to continue making single crochet till this very last stitch. So to see the V clearly, we can just turn our work like this. I have reached the end of row 2. I have the last single crochet left. So I'm going to turn my work to see this last V clearly. At the side here, we have our chain stitch. So into the last V, into the back loop, insert your hook and make your single crochet. This is the end of row 2. To count our stitches by counting the V's that we see, the first V might be a little hidden. So you can just pull it out with your hand like this and then count all your stitches. We're going to have 9, which is the same as row 1. Row 3, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. From now on, we are just going to repeat row 2 for pattern. So we know the loop on the hook is not a stitch. This is a chain 1 stitch, does not count as a stitch, and this is our first stitch. So in the back loop, make your single crochet. In the next stitch, in the back loop, make your single crochet. So in the same way, we are going to continue till the end of the row, and I will meet you there. Reach the last stitch of row 3, turn your work to see this last V clearly. On the side here, we have a chain stitch into the back loop of the last V. Insert your hook, make a single crochet. At the end of the row, we are going to count all our stitches. We are going to have 9. So from now on, we are just going to continue repeating row 2 for pattern. Let's make one more row, which is row 4. We are going to yarn over and pull through. This is our chain 1, turn our work. From the first stitch in the back loop, start making your single crochet. To see the V clearly, we can just turn our work like this. I will meet you at the last stitch. At the end of row 4, count your stitches. We are going to have 9. So now we are just going to continue repeating row 2 for pattern till we finish our entire ribbing. It should be long enough to fit snugly around our head. We are going to end at an odd number row. So we are working this entire ribbing for the hat, and we want to end at an odd number row. I will meet you once we finish. So I have just made a small patch to make all the rows. I have made 15 rows. Your ribbing should be long enough to fit snugly around your head. You should end at an odd number row. So this hat is worked in a rectangle, row 1. We're just going to continue working like this in this direction. So first we will chain 2 and make a half double crochet row. Chain 1, yarn over and pull through. Now this is not going to count as a stitch. We're going to make a half double crochet in the same row. So I'm going to make it in the gap that we see here. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same row, yarn over and then pull through. We have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So this is our first half double crochet. If you want, you can mark it with a stitch marker. Now at the side of every row of the ribbing, we are going to make 1 half double crochet. So this is my next row. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the row, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Let's go to the next row, which is this row. We're going to yarn over, insert a hook into the row, yarn over and pull through. We have 3 loops on a hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So this is my next row. I'm going to make a half double crochet in it. This is my next row. I am going to make a half double crochet in it. So in the same way, continue till the last row. So I just keep track of the stitches by knowing that between these 2 raised parts, we have 2 rows. Now I've reached the end of the row and I have my last 2 rows left. So in this single crochet row, I'm going to make a half double crochet, and then in the very last single crochet row, I'm again going to make a half double crochet. Now we are going to count all our half double crochets. Starting from this first half double crochet, we're going to have the same number as the number of rows we made for the ribbing. It should be an odd number. So I have 15 half double crochets, which is the same as the number of rows I made in the ribbing. So in case you have an even number of half double crochet, you will just add an extra half double crochet at the end here so that you have an odd number. I'm going to mark the last stitch with a stitch marker so that I know that this is my last half double crochet. Now let's go to row 2. Row 2, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. So we're going to start working into the same stitch with a stitch marker. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. This is our chain 1 stitch. Into this very first stitch, we're going to make a single crochet and a puff stitch. So we're going to be working below both the loops of the V for this row. So insert your hook below both the loops of the V, yarn over and then pull through. We have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and then pull through both. So we have made a single crochet and we're going to make a puff stitch in the same stitch. So let's make a puff stitch. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the same stitch as the single crochet. Yarn over and pull up a long loop. Yarn over and insert your hook into the same stitch as the single crochet. Yarn over and pull up a long loop. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch. Yarn over and pull up a long loop. So you can see these loops are slightly longer. Now we are going to count the loops on our hook. We are going to have 7 in all. We are going to yarn over and pull through the first 6. So I am going to keep the 7th loop on the side like this. So yarn over first and pull through only the first 6. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. So we have made a puff stitch. Now we are going to skip the next stitch and in the next stitch make a single crochet and a puff stitch again. So this is the next V. We are going to skip it and go to this next V. Here we will make a single crochet first. So insert your hook below both the loops of the V. Make your single crochet. Now let's make the puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch. Yarn over and pull up a long loop. Do it 2 more times. One more. Now we have 7 loops. We are going to yarn over and pull through the first 6. We have 2 loops left. We are going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. We are going to skip this next stitch. So this next V we have skipped, and in this next stitch we are going to make a single crochet first and then a puff stitch. So now we are going to continue in the same way till the end of the row. Skip the next stitch, single crochet and puff stitch in the next stitch, skip the next stitch, and so on. I will meet you at this last stitch. I have reached the end of the row. I have made a single crochet and a puff stitch in this stitch. The next V we are going to skip, and this is our last stitch of the row. After that we have the chain stitch. The last stitch has also been marked with the stitch marker. In this stitch we are going to make only a single crochet. So insert your hook below both the loops of the V of the stitch and make your single crochet. Now this is the end of the row. So if we can't see our puff stitches clearly, we will just turn our, this is the right side, and here we should see our puff stitches. If we count all our stitches, we are going to have the same number as row 1. So for all the rows from now on, our stitch count is going to remain the same as row 1. Row 3, chain 1 and then turn the work. This is also a puff stitch row. The loop on the hook does not count as a stitch. This is a chain stitch, and in this first V, we are going to start the row. So we are going to start with a single crochet and a puff stitch in the same stitch. So to see all the V's clearly, you can just turn your work like this, and now you can see all the V's. The V's of the puff stitches are a little bigger than the single crochet. So in the first V, we are going to be working below both the loops of the V. We will make a single crochet. Next, we are going to make a puff stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a long loop. Do it 2 more times. We have 7 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through the first 6. Now we have 2 loops. We are going to yarn over and pull through the last 2. Now we are going to skip the next V that we see, and in the next V we are going to make a single crochet and puff stitch again. So make sure you skip a V, and in the next V we are going to make a single crochet and then a puff stitch. Once we have our 7 loops, yarn over, pull through 6. We have to yarn over and pull through the last 2. So we are going to continue in the same way. Skip the next stitch, single crochet and puff stitch in the next stitch, skip the next stitch, and so on till the very last stitch. I will meet you there. So now I have reached the end of the row. I have made a single crochet and a puff stitch here, and I have 2 stitches left. So this one V and the small V here. After that here we have our chain stitch. So we are going to skip this very next V, and in the last V of the row we are going to make a single crochet. So make sure you go below both the loops of the V and make your single crochet. This is the end of row 3. If we want, we can mark this as the right side of the work. Now we can see that the row 3 puff stitches are a little flat. We are going to turn our work and just push them to the front. So we can push all the puff stitches as much as we want to the right side of the work. So once we turn our work, we can see all the puff stitches clearly. Stitch count at the end of the row is the same as row 1. Let's go to row 4. Chain 2 and then turn the work. Yarn over and pull through 1 and 2 and turn the work. Now this is a back loop half double crochet row. No, the loop on the hook is not a stitch. This time these first 2 chains are a chain 2 stitch. They are not going to count as a stitch. And in the next V that we see, this is where we are going to start working. So we are going to make a back loop half double crochet. Yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop of the first stitch, yarn over and pull through. We have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3. This is our next stitch. So into the back loop, we are going to make a half double crochet. This is our next stitch. Make a half double crochet. So to see the V's clearly, you'll just turn your work like this and you can see that some V's are bigger than the others because those are the puff stitch V's. So in the same way, we're just going to continue making half double crochets in the back loop in all the stitches till the end of the row. I will meet you once we finish. So I've reached the end of the row and this is my very last V. After that is our chain stitch. So into the last stitch, into the back loop, make your half double crochet. You want to count all your stitches at the end of the row. Make sure you have the same number as row 1. Row 5, we're going to chain 2 and then turn our work. This chain 2 does not count as a stitch. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. Into the stitch right after the chain 2, which is this V, we're going to start making a half double crochets into the back loop. So yarn over, insert your hook into the back loop, make a half double crochet. Yarn over into the back loop of the next stitch, half double crochet. So this is also a back loop half double crochet row. I will meet you at the end of this row. The stitch count is going to remain the same. So I've reached the end of the row. I have the last stitch left. This is my very last stitch. I'm going to go into the back loop and make a half double crochet. Always count your stitches. You don't want to miss any stitch. Row 6. Chain 2 and then turn the work. So this is also a back loop half double crochet row. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. This is our chain 2 stitch and in this next V into the back loop, start making your half double crochet. We are going to make a half double crochet in every stitch till the end of the row. So I will meet you once we finish this row. I have reached the end of the row. We are going to count all our stitches. We are going to have the same as row 1. Let's go to row 7. Chain 2 and then turn the work. Row 7 is also a back loop half double crochet row. So beginning from the first stitch, start making back loop half double crochet till the end of the row. So I will meet you once we finish this row. Row 8. Now row 8 is a puff stitch row. So we are going to begin with a chain 1 and then turn our work. So we already know how to work our puff stitch row. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. This is a chain 1 stitch, does not count as a stitch. Into this first stitch, we are going to go below both the loops of the V and make a single crochet. And now into the same stitch, we are going to make a puff stitch. So let's do it together. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a long loop. 2 more times. Yarn over, pull through the first 6, yarn over and pull through the last 2. After this, we are going to skip the next stitch, single crochet and a puff stitch in the next stitch. So we're going to continue in the same way till the end of the row. Skip the next stitch, single crochet and a puff stitch, skip the next single crochet and a puff stitch, and so on till the last stitch. We're going to end with a single crochet. I've reached the end of the row, made a single crochet and a puff stitch, and I have 2 stitches left. So I've turned my work to see the V's clearly, skip the next one, and in the very last V, I'm going to make a single crochet only. And this is the end of the row. We're going to count our stitches. Row 9 is also a puff stitch row. So we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. This is our chain 1. In this very first stitch, go below both the loops of the V, make a single crochet and then a puff stitch in the same stitch. Now we are going to skip the next stitch. In the next stitch, we are going to make a single crochet and then a puff stitch again. Skip the next stitch. In the next stitch, make a single crochet and a puff stitch. So you can see the stitches clearly by turning the work a little. We're going to end the row with a single crochet in the last stitch. I will meet you there. This is the right side of our work. We know it by the stitch marker that we have marked. So we're just going to turn our work and then push the second puff stitch row like this so that all the puff stitches go to the front. So when we turn our work, we can see all of them clearly. If you're enjoying this pattern, I'll be very grateful if you can press on the like button so this video can reach more people. Let's continue. Row 10. This is a half double crochet row. So we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. The loop on the hook is not a stitch. This chain 2 does not count as a stitch. Into the V right after that, we're going to start making our back loop half double crochet. So we're going to make a half double crochet in every stitch till the end of the row, and I'm going to meet you there. I've reached the last stitch. We're going to count all our stitches and make sure we have the right number. Let's go to the next row. So from now on, the row count really doesn't matter. We're just going to be repeating the half double crochet in the back loop rows. So we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Start working from the first stitch into the back loop and half double crochet till the last stitch. So don't skip any stitches. This is what our hat currently looks like. Your hat is going to be longer than mine because it's a rectangle, and we're going to continue repeating these half double crochet rows till we have this entire height of the hat. So from the bottom till the top, it has to be about 7.5 to 8 inches depending on how big or how long you want your hat. So I'm going to continue repeating these half double crochet rows till I reach about 7.5 to 8 inches starting from the bottom here. I will meet you once we finish. Just keep repeating the half double crochet in the back loop rows. So now I have finished the entire height of my hat repeating the half double crochet back loop rows. So my hat measures about 7.5 inches in height. So once we finish this entire part, we're going to continue decreasing at the top here. So it doesn't really matter whether you have ended at the right side or the wrong side. We're now going to continue with the decreasing rows. So just like the half double crochet row, we're going to chain 2 first and then turn our work. So we're going to begin with the half double crochet in the first stitch. We're still working into the back loop only. Make another half double crochet in the next stitch. And now we are going to make a decrease stitch. So this is a half double crochet decrease. We're going to yarn over, insert a hook into the next stitch, yarn over and then pull through. Now we are going to stop the stitch and move on to the next stitch. So yarn over again and insert your hook into the next stitch. Then we are going to yarn over and pull through. We have 5 hook loops on our hook now. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. So this is our decrease. So in this row, our pattern is going to be half double crochet, and then a decrease stitch. We're going to work into the back loops only. So let's make a half double crochet into the next stitch. Half double crochet into the next stitch. So let's begin our decrease stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and insert your hook into the next stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop again. We have 5 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and pull through all 5. So for this row, we are just going to continue the pattern of half double crochet, and then half double crochet decrease till the end of the row. I will meet you once we finish. So I've reached the end of the row, and it doesn't matter whether you end at a half double crochet or a decrease. Just follow the pattern till the last stitch. Now let's go to the next row. We're going to chain 2 and then turn our work. Row 2 of decrease is exactly like row 1. We're going to half double crochet, and then decrease. So I'm just going to start the row with you. Let's make a half double crochet in the first stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch. We are working in the back loops only, and then we are going to make a decrease. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over. Now we have 5 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. So we are going to continue repeating this pattern of half double crochet, and decrease till the end of the row, and I will meet you there. So I followed the pattern till the end of the row, and it doesn't matter what stitch we end at, whether it is a half double crochet or a decrease. Let's go to row 3 of the decrease. We are going to chain 2 and then turn our work. So this row is going to be slightly different. We are going to add a few more decrease stitches. We will make 1 half double crochet and then 1 decrease, 1 half double crochet and then 1 decrease. So let's start. In the first stitch, we are going to make a half double crochet. And now we will make a decrease in the next 2 stitches. So yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. We have 5 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 5. So we're just going to continue repeating this pattern of half double crochet and then a decrease stitch till the end of the row. So I will meet you once we finish this row. So I've reached the end of the row. It doesn't matter what stitch we end at. We can see the top of the hat is beginning to close up. Row 4 of the decrease, we are going to chain 2 and then turn our work. This row is the same as row 3. We will make 1 half double crochet and 1 decrease. So first we will make a half double crochet, and then in the next 2 stitches we are making a decrease stitch. Next we are going to make a half double crochet and then a decrease. So I will meet you once we finish this row. So I'm going to repeat round 3 one more time. So round 5 is going to be the same as round 3. I'm going to chain 2 and then turn my work. I'm going to begin with a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then a half double crochet decrease in the next 2. So I'm going to make a half double crochet and then a decrease stitch, and so on till the end of this row. So I finished row 5 and I have about 10 to 15 stitches left. This is when we are going to end our decrease rows. Now we are going to begin sewing and closing our hat. First we are going to leave about 25 inches of the yarn and then cut it. It has to be a long piece to sew the hat closed. Now we are just going to tug on this hook to pull out this yarn. So this is what our hat currently looks like. I'm just going to close it like this. You want to close it so that the wrong side lies on top and the puff stitch lie on the inside, because we want to sew the hat closed on the wrong side. So with our tapestry needle, we want to go through all these stitches at the top of the hat so that we can close it. So with the needle, go below both the loops of the V of the first stitch and then come out below both the loops of the V of the second stitch like this. Go into the third and then come out through the fourth. So I'm just going to tug on my needle. So we're going to continue doing this through all the stitches. So I will meet you once we reach the end. So now I've gone through all the stitches and reached the end. I'm just going to tug on this yarn so that it closes the top of the hat. Now we're just going to start sewing from the top till we reach the bottom here and close the side of the hat. We want to make sure that the stitches on both the sides lie exactly against one another. You can close the hat using any stitch you want. So I'm just going to go through the first side and then into the second side. Tug on the needle. I'm going to go once more into the top stitch. Now I'm going to go into the first side and then the second side. Tug on the needle. So as evenly as possible, the first side and then the second side. Tug on the needle. So I'm going to meet you once we finish closing this entire side. I've finished closing this entire side, and here we are going to weave the yarn tail end in. To weave the tail end in, I'm going to take my needle and just go 3 to 4 times in the opposite direction with it. So once you're sure that the yarn is firmly weaved in, you're going to take a scissor and then cut it off. So our hat is now ready. If you want, you can attach a pom-pom to it. So I'm going to leave the video on the top right of the screen and in the description below on how to make the pom-pom. Here are some similar puff stitch tutorials you may enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more tutorials. See you next time.